Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're doing the post-combine mock draft. And if you guys didn't know, I just got back from the combine. Go check out my winners and losers article and all the articles we have at Hoops Hype regarding the draft. So let's get right into today's video. We're using Fanspo for this, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts, what you guys think. I'm going to mute this. And right now, I really think, I've said this before, Alex Sarr is my number one pick. Going back to that everybody's archetype argument last year for Brandon Miller being the second overall pick, that 6'8" archetype, you don't pass on it. I think Alex Sarr, 7'1", he has the potential to be kind of like a Jaren Jackson Jr. type player. And no offense to Zachary Rissache, he's a guy who probably is closer to he's the type of player he's going to be is either like a Kyle Kuzma, Michael Porter Jr., Cam Johnson. That's like the type of player he is, a combo forward. And I think Sarr, especially if they move on from Clint Capella, fits perfectly at the 4 spot next to Onyeka Okongwu. Then they put Jalen Johnson at the 3, even though that's not his natural position. Or they can have, Sarr come off the bench, which he did. So I just think right here you got to take Sarr. Then the Wizards taking Rissache allows them to trade Kyle Kuzma and get him at like peak value. Now, for me, when we go right here at 3, I feel like this is a team. They have Jabari Smith, they have Alperen Şengün. I think when you look at the wings, for me, I think that this is where it becomes huge. Okay, how do we? I also want to reframe this a little bit so you guys can fully see everything I'm seeing. But when we look at the rest of the squad, okay, how do we fill it out? Because there's going to be some players that they're going to move on from. And to me, I think it's really we got to go with a guard right here, and I think this is where Reed Shepherd would go. Everybody's really high on him. I think he's kind of like a Kirk Heinrich guy, and I think it works out perfect. At 4, I think Nikola Topic is just a match made in heaven, regardless of the fact that they're probably going to go out and get Chris Paul. It just makes sense to me. Now at 5, this is a team, the Detroit Pistons, they just brought in Trajan Langdon, and Trajan Langdon is a guy who I think he really values wings, and I think getting Buzelis would put too many cooks in the kitchen in terms of he needs the ball in his hands. And I think they went with the defensive guy last year in Ron Holland. Now, if they want to go with the slow approach, I think they go with Cody Williams right here. But if they're trying to win right now, they go Dalton Connect. And I just don't see them going with Dalton Connect because of the whole thing. So I think Cody Williams gets taken here by Detroit. So now we're Charlotte, and this is where I think Ron Holland actually is like a match made in heaven. They need defense. This would allow them to run Ron Holland at shooting guard. Then you have Brandon Miller at small forward, and your power forward is either going to be Miles Bridges or it's going to be maybe you draft like a Buzelis. I think this is where Buzelis or Ron Holland goes. I just think Ron Holland doesn't need the ball, and this team sucks at defense, so let's go get a defensive player. So at 7, the Portland Trailblazers on the clock. I don't think they need guard help, and they need a power forward. And the idea is Buzelis is a combo forward, so he kind of feels like this is a fit right there. So San Antonio. Now, they just went guard. Victor Wembanyama, they want to play at the 4. And I just can't see them. I would love for Donovan Clingan to go here, but I think this is, and they've already gone Topic. So I really think this is where they go with a shooter. I love the idea of Rob Dillingham going here with them taking 2 guards, but we just know realistically that's not what's going to happen. So at 8, I think. Do you think they go with Dalton Connect right here? Try to make that win now move? I just think that's a real hard push for them. And I think Jacoby Walter fits more what they need as the two-way guy who can fit in between now that they got Topic, in my opinion. And the Grizzlies right here, I think if Clingan falls to them, they take Clingan at 9. And then Utah at 10. I think this is where Stephen Castle goes. Danny Ainge loved Marcus Smart, and I think Stephen Castle fits that mold. I think Rob Dillingham goes here because they'll probably trade Zach LaVine. Now, I've said this before. I think Kyle Filipowski fits really well for what they're looking at OKC, somebody next to Chet Holmgren, and also who can play with Jay Will, just kind of fits that completely. I could also see them taking a guy like Tristan da Silva, but like, for me, it just makes the most sense for them to go out, unless there's a chance they want to go out and I think they just got to go with a big right here. And that's why you got to go Filipowski. It just makes too much sense. In the other positions, I feel like they have depth and they're going to have to make decisions already there. Now, this is where I think Dalton Connect, if he fell here, he's going to be taken by Sacramento. Now, Portland's back on the clock, and they took Buzelis. And the assumption is that they're probably going to trade a big, or they're probably going to trade maybe one of their guards in either Brogdon or Simons. So do you want to bring in more shooting in terms of like a Jared McCain or a Devin Carter, or do you go with another forward and you take Saloon? You assume maybe they get rid of a big, but do you take a big here? And if they do, I feel like Yves Messi is the guy they should go for right here, because you're probably going to trade Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton. It's at least going to be here for another year. So I think with them having DeAndre Ayton in front of Messi, Messi gets at least one redshirt year before they actually can throw him in the fire. I think at this point, Devin Carter, he grew up in their locker room and he kind of fits a positional need for the Heat. Now, the Sixers are here, and I don't know if they actually will take this pick, but if they were, I feel like at this point, Jared McCain just fits what they need. Shooting, shooting, shooting. And I feel like that's a really solid pickup. Now, for the Pelicans, they're probably going to... I just feel like this is a Tristan da Silva move, because they might lose, some multi-positional depth, and he just kind of fits what they do right there. Now, we're here with the Magic. The Magic value shooting. I mean, it gets hard because I think they're a team that would have liked to have taken a guy like similar to a Tristan da Silva, and I think Tajon Saloon fits, but I think they want shooting and they want two-way players, so I think Kevin McCullough being able to come in and potentially contribute day one is huge for them. Now, for me, I think this is a team that's going to move off of Chris Boucher, and they have Kelly Olynyk and Jakob Poeltl, but they don't really have anything behind that. Unless they want to continue accumulating Kansas players, Johnny Furphy fits here, but I think this is a team that they either want to get an actual backup point guard next, or a point guard next to... I really think this is where Isaiah Collier could go, because him and Emmanuel quickly could figure it out there. Now, this one becomes difficult. I think they're going to keep Mobley. They need a big, but they also need a power forward, but they want somebody who can contribute right now. I think the idea of like a Khalil Ware going here. Do you think Khalil Ware? I feel like if we took Khalil Ware, let's undo the previous pick. Yeah, Khalil Ware's one option, but I feel like Bobby Klitman. He went overseas. He contributed. He can play, the 3 or the 4, maybe even some 5. Right here, this is where it becomes difficult. Do you go out and get a Zach Edey? You took Tristan da Silva already. You're the Pelicans. I think Keyshawn George screams Pelicans type move because they need the shooting. Now, Khalil Ware, if the Suns are here, I think they're trying to move off of Jusuf Nurkic, and Khalil Ware screams like the Derek Lively guy of this draft. Now, this is hard. It's Milwaukee's on the clock. Milwaukee needs somebody who can help them right now. And I think defense was huge. Ryan Dunn, I wouldn't normally take him this high, but I think he's somebody that a team like Milwaukee could want. Maybe a Jalen Tyson. But I think Jalen Tyson right here could be a New York guy. You take him right here. And then New York needs a big. Do they take a Zach Edey? I just don't know if Zach Edey's their guy, or if they have a 38th pick, so I just feel like taking a guy in the second round is more something that the Knicks would do, and they don't really have point guard or shooting guard depth. We're going to take Tyler Kolek right here because they have Deuce McBride, but do you, like, maybe Dwayne Washington gets converted, so I think maybe more of a shooting guard. Ajay Mitchell, I think is more of a shooting guard. Same thing with Carlton Carrington. And I think having Johnny Furphy available here is who they would take. So Johnny Furphy here to give them some depth. Now, the Wizards are going to take the best player available potential-wise, and I think that is Tijan Saloon. So regardless of who they had available, who they took earlier, I think taking Saloon just is the best player available right now. Now, I think Kolek fits what they need, as we don't know if Morris is going to stay, so backup point guard there. Now, over here, I feel like either Justin Edwards, Terrence Shannon, or a Carlton Carrington. No, you know what? Dylan Jones, I think, is definitely a guy that I feel like they feel confident about, being able to bring in a backup point guard in free agency, but I think they need a guy who can potentially replace Contavious Caldwell-Pope if he does leave. Now, we took Stephen Castle earlier for the Jazz, and they're back on the clock. This is where it gets hard, and I think this is one where they look at, I think you got to get a swingman right here. And I think that swingman has to be Justin Edwards, which is crazy to think about Tyler Smith falling potentially this far in the draft. If you're Boston, I think right here, this is where you scoop up a guy like Tyler Smith. You have to take Tyler Smith with the 30th pick. Now, I think Zach Edey going to Toronto with the 31st pick does make sense. Goes back to Canada, where he's from. The Jazz are back on the clock. They're a team that I think who could be interested in Ethan Almanza, kind of an Al Horford type player. They took Ryan Dunn, Milwaukee, earlier. I think another guy, if he's here, Terrence Shannon, he should be able to contribute day one. Portland, they taken Buzelis, they taken Messi. I think with Carrington available right here, he's the best talent, so you just got to take him. Spurs, they taking Topic, Walter. I think this is, if they were to take a big, they would take a big now. But I think this is where they take another Frenchman. And that Frenchman is either Dadit or Melvin Aginsa. And I think Aginsa, because did Alexis ever play for San Antonio? Because if he did, that's going to just be, first off, he is the assistant coach for the Capital City Go-Go, so I actually feel like that could be one that, does he fit? He doesn't, he has an ASEVL bat. Aginsa has, what about Melvin? I want to see if Melvin has any, if he played at ASLV. No, so I'm going to go right here with Pacome, unless there's another Frenchman that I think is better. No, I think you go with Pacome, who he's been a guy who's flying up the boards. He's just giant. But he's playing in Germany right now. But before that, he was at Orange Academy. He's just 6'8" with a huge, huge wingspan. And for me, it just makes more sense that if the Wizards draft picks this year, I believe they have multiple second rounders. And in this year's draft, they have only 1 second round pick, it looks like. Yeah, only 1 second round pick, and we've already used it. So I'm going to go back and say they get Melvin. Okay. I'm going with Melvin on this one. Pacers right here. I know Enrique Freeman for a while was not in this draft class, which is absolutely ridiculous. I like how they added Nick Juan. Isaiah Crawford they have as a small forward. Still no Enrique Freeman. No Enrique Freeman. I do want to say right here, I feel as if the guy that they could lose, I think they would go for a shooter. And to me, I think they take a Baylor Shireman to give him shooting. And then guys, I would not be surprised. Okay, we're gonna take a random dude right here and say this is. All right, we're gonna take Mark Mitchell because he's not in the draft. That's Enrique Freeman from Akron. So they took Enrique Freeman from Akron. Now New York's back on the clock, and we said if they were still here, they would take a big. And Ariel Huckaporty could come in day one and provide like instant offense for them. Now, who's a guy who can contribute immediately for this team? I think this is right here where either Alex Caravan, Pele Larson, or Hunter Salas goes. I think Hunter Salas just fits more of a positional need for them and just screams more of a Memphis pick. Now, Portland's back on the clock. They've taken basically everyone on the Sun, a big, a forward, a guard. I think this is where they maybe take, I don't know if a project, but somebody with a bit more upside. AJ Johnson, I just can't see them taking that. Isaac Jones can jump out the gym. He's raw, though. I think this is the type of move they would do. They get a super athletic guy that they don't need to force to be ready. Jared McCain came in here, and I think Harrison Ingram just fits what they need, and they get another shooter. Okay, they took Ron Holland, and this is where they probably want to get a guy who's in the G League or who'll play in the G. They don't have a backup point guard. They have Trey Mann. I guess this is more shooting guard depth they would want. I just can't see them going for a big right here. I mean, do they believe in McGowan's, Nick Smith, Trey Mann? I guess you would want to go maybe more forward. Larson or... This is where it gets hard. I just feel like taking Cam Spencer here is too early. We'll go Larson because they're going to need shooting. And he can play both the 2 and the 3 for them. The Heat are here, and I think they want to go with a guy who can help them now. I could see him taking Caravan, coming from a winning culture. He's going to knock down threes. They'll be able to implement him immediately. If you're... I think DeRon Holmes works perfect here. Back up big. The shot works. It's not the prettiest, but it works. You took Dalton Connect right here. I think now you got to take a power forward like a Keyshawn Johnson to help you off the bench. The Clippers, historically right here. Did we take Simpson yet? No, this is perfect. KJ Simpson goes to LA. LA kid. Orlando, they took McCullough earlier. And I think they take Bonaz to replace Goga Bits today. They need a backup big. That's a easy one for them there. Right here, we've talked about them taking a big. Do they take a PJ Hall? Ugono and Yenso, is he staying in the draft? I don't know if he stays in the draft. He just doesn't seem like he stays in the draft. So, and do they go with a small ball big? I just feel like they really like their guys. And I just think we need to take a front court guy. So, I feel like just a contending team is going to take Coleman. I want to say they would. Anton Watson kind of fits what they want. I think Anton Watson would be the pick that they would do. This is a forfeited pick, so we're just going to go all the way to the bottom. Ladies and gentlemen, take someone random. Xavier Lee is not being drafted, so they don't have this pick, so we just took a random guy. Okay, Pacers are back on the clock. They took... I thought we took Enrique Freeman. I thought we took Enrique Freeman. Dude, someone just. Mm. So with pick 37, we took Mark Mitchell to the Timberwolves, and I apologize for that. So the Mark Mitchell pick back there for the Timberwolves, they would have probably actually taken Coleman Hawkins. So because of that, I'm just going to do this. This is Enrique Freeman, but really it's Coleman Hawkins going to the Coleman Hawkins right here is going to the Timberwolves, and then Enrique Freeman of Akron goes to the Pacers at 50, and then at 51, I think they go with a guard, and you know who it is, Trey Alexander. With the 52nd pick, I told you it would have been a Melvin Ajinça. Okay, they did have another pick, so I'm gonna also say this in retrospect: Pacome Dadit goes to the Spurs at 35, and Melvin Ajinça goes to the Wizards at 52. I don't know why here. I think this pick is Osa Iguodala, unless they want Trevon Brazile, but I just feel like Osa is more of what they would want, and he can pass, so that's who I think they take there. Now, power forward right here, you got Trajan Langdon as the new exec. I think Brazil's the power forward you take at this pick. Boston's on the clock. They're going to take the most pro-ready guy. Cam Spencer to Boston's just a dream fit. I think a Jay Mitchell, he can actually contribute. You know, we didn't take a guard earlier, but Juan Nunez kind of fits right there. The Grizzlies. Who do they go? People really like Jalen Bridges, and I feel like this would be they took Vince Williams. This is a random pick because it's forfeited. And with the last pick in the draft, they go Nikola Juszczyk. So this is our mock right now. I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. What you guys think? Hit that like and subscribe button. But yeah, that's basically it for me, guys. But peace out.